Here you go.
Hey, happy 2014 and welcome back to the Arcade City Podcast. It's Brandon and Kevin again. We're here going to be talking about movies and a whole lot more. Comics in general, gaming, whatever we can fit in. Kevin's going to gush about Ant-Man and we're going to try to work on his peanut M&M craze. So let's get into what's been going on. How was the holiday, man?
It was good. Okay, you're talking about Christmas. I was like, what holiday?
Yeah,
It's already we're 2 weeks into January. I'm like, what are you talking about?
we had Christmas, New Year.
Yeah, it was good.
The end of the year.
Had a good time. Always love watching the girls open up the presents. So, and then I had the girls over on New Year's Eve, and we went to a hockey game.
How was that?
That was fun. I love to go watch the Penguins.
Scranton, right?
Wilkes-Barre, Scranton,
Scranton,
yeah.
yeah.
So it's fun.
Is that the one you guys were close for, or was that afterwards? I know you guys were really close recently.
No, that was a different one.
Okay.
We had I got some seats from a neighbor friend, and he we were about 7 rows away from the ice. It was great.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I got to get to a hockey game. I still have. I mean, I'm not a big sports person, and I'm not really big on watching hockey on TV. But I would go see a game. It's the same thing with me for like baseball. Can't watch it on TV, but can totally go to a game and have a good time.
Yeah, same here. Hockey to me is one of the best sports to watch live. You can really get into it. Basketball is probably fun to watch live too, but I've never really gotten into basketball. So
yeah, I can watch basketball on TV. I'm like football. I can care less about. Rugby and basketball. Rugby mostly. I could watch rugby all day long. I don't know why. I just like it.
Rugby.
That's my wannabe. I guess UK side coming out.
I see. Didn't know you had one of those, but
well, it's not huge. It's not huge in the States, so.
I know it's definitely more of a European. I worked over in Europe for a couple of weeks, or actually over a span of a couple of months, and rugby and cricket, and soccer, and regular soccer.
Yeah. Football.
Yeah, football. Sorry. Yeah, right.
Or football.
Yeah. It's not how I was raised to know it. I know it is soccer.
So we had Christmas. We exchanged some gifts. I picked up You Got Me Sandman. The first volume. Started thumbing through it today somewhat. I'm not deep into it. I'm pretty much at the point where he's free and he is collecting his belongings, treasures or what you may.
Yeah, I actually pulled my copy out of the bookcase and I have it on my nightstand, but I haven't cracked it open. I know it is something I think you need to, if you've got 2 hours, an hour, or whatever, and you can just read it and get deep into it. I think that's better because it can be kind of boring if you read it in very little spurts.
The beginning is all him being imprisoned, and it's like going through history and everything.
Right.
So it's like jumping back and forth. But I mean, like I said, I was always into the art anyway. So like I was into it as soon as I was reading. I'm like, oh, he's imprisoned. And then. Like as I'm going through it, it kind of moves slow, like through the first few. I don't know if it would actually be considered the first book or the first 2 books or whatever, but the actual comic.
Getting back,
Yeah, but I was like, oh, well, how long is the history going to take? And then finally, we're like getting to a point, and I'm like, oh wait, this is coming up. Wait, that's like 50 years. Okay, I think I remember he's like in prison for 70 years or something. So we only got like 20 more to go. And then that picked up right away, and then he ended up getting out, and I was like, okay, so here we go. But like I said, I'm not too far into it, but I'm into it already. So
you're welcome. It's really, really, it gets better, and as he explores and searches out for his family, or I don't know if he searches for them or they just start interacting with them. I won't spoil this, but it's really good stuff. And I'm thinking about rereading it just because I really enjoyed it when it was out.
Yeah, we have might as well just jump into it now. There was a word this week that they were doing a pilot for Constantine, and as I was reading articles for it, I started looking up Constantine, and they're saying that he appeared in the Sandman series at some point, and I was
Yeah.
like, okay, so I'm gonna run into him eventually because, like I said, I thank you, but now I hate you at the same time because I'm already hooked on this already. So
Yeah,
I'm gonna have
there's
to.
only like there's like 12 books.
Yeah. Yeah, which are like all listed at the end. I think. I think at the end of it, they're all listed.
Yeah,
And
you
then
can
I
go
think there's
online.
I think when I was looking it up, I think there's some kind of second series or offshoot of this, maybe.
No, he's doing, Neil Gaiman, the author, is doing a new series of Sandman
Okay.
coming out, and I guess it's under, what is DC's, Vertigo? I guess Vertigo. That's their
Mhm.
kind of, uh, I don't know, experimental or independent, I guess, line. But
Yeah.
yeah, he's supposed to be doing a new story. I don't know how long, if it's a set or like 12 issues or 6 issues, or if he's going to be doing this indefinitely.
Hmm.
Probably not indefinitely. But yeah, so that might be kind of cool. I'll wait for that to get collected and read it that way as
Yeah.
opposed to single issues. I don't think I could buy single issues of anything anymore.
I don't know. Yeah, I mean it's hard. I was looking on I think it was Google's magazine rack or whatever, and they have comics, and I don't know, like single issues, you can pay $6 more almost and get the volume issues of it.
Right.
Example, like a Walking Dead issue was like 3.49 or something like that,
Mm-hmm.
or you could buy volume one for $10.
Exactly. Exactly.
So
Yeah.
might as well wait for the volume, especially since you're buying it digitally anyway. You know.
Right. And that's what I have been doing. But I would like to go back. So you gave me your all-time favorite movie of all time, The
Yes.
Crow,
Yes.
the original.
Yes.
So I watched that tonight.
Okay. How was that?
You know what? Okay, so I'm mixed on this. I
Okay.
really liked the story,
Mm-hmm.
and I liked the Crow aspect. I liked the character. I
Uh-huh.
personally did not think. Is it Brandon Lee?
Yeah, Brandon Lee.
I didn't think he was a very good actor. When he delivered his lines, just looking, crowish and walking and beating up people, he was fine. But
Yeah.
I really did not. I thought, when was the last time you watched this?
Last time I watched it was quite a few years ago.
All right, maybe go back and revisit it because his line delivery was really corny, really just I didn't think good. And I don't like Ernie Hudson either, who
No.
was the cop.
I didn't like him in that movie as the cop. I don't know. It just screams Ghostbusters to me.
Yeah, he will never be anything else but that, and he's not, he's not a good actor. I don't
No.
think. And then here's the thing that bugs me the most, and it's not just with his performance, but it's with anybody. His character, he was like a cop, or he was a cop, but he smoked.
Uh-huh.
And this thing that bugs me about characters who are written to smoke in the movies or on TV, and then you have an actor portraying that character who does not smoke. It is so obvious. Next time you're watching a movie and you see someone smoking, look at this. You can tell the difference between a true smoker and someone who doesn't smoke by the way they hold their cigarette and take a puff of the cigarette.
Yeah.
I,
Oh
I
yeah.
don't
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't know if
Yeah.
I'm the only one. I don't know if you've ever thought about that before, but that is distracting to me when I'm just like, you don't smoke. You can tell you don't smoke because of how carefully you're putting this. I mean, watch Dennis Leary. Is that his name?
Yeah. The comic, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The guy was in the fireman show. I forgot what it was called. But at
Yeah.
any rate, he
Rescue Me.
smokes. Yeah, Rescue Me. He smokes, and if he's on there doing, you could tell. I mean, there's just a striking difference. And why that distracts me and bugs me, I don't really know, but it always just leaps out at me whenever I see it.
Well, he used to smoke when he was doing his act, when he was doing stand-up comedy,
Oh yeah,
and
well he smokes like.
I could be wrong, but I don't think I am. He used to do the Cam Neely no, or Cure for Cancer, the Cure for Cancer, or it was called No Cure for Cancer or something. And they got a bunch of comics together, and it was like a charity thing, but they would air it on Comedy Central every year. And I think they did it like 3 or 4 years maybe. And he might have been smoking while he was doing the No
He
Cure for
probably
Cancer
was.
thing. But I mean, it was just who he was. You know, he's a rough guy or whatever. Um,
Yeah.
so
Well, but I did like the movie. But it's funny though. It's from 1994,
hmm
so the special effects were not exactly. They were 1994 special effects. I'm not going to say that they were bad. They were probably fantastic for that time. But it is funny. You can really see the green screen in a lot of these things. And I don't mean to. I'm not trying to totally pick apart your favorite movie of all time ever.
oh no, it's my favorite movie because um, it was a comic, and the thing that I think they got right was the comic imagery as far as
Yeah.
lighting goes for
Yeah.
'94. Um,
Yes.
you know, the acting that was really early on, and I mean, even go and watch Spawn and talk about acting in that.
Oh,
Um,
Spawn. Hmm.
but I mean, it was really early in like I mean, even the Batmans of that time. You know, I don't know. I
But
can't.
but Keaton's Batman had been out by then, right?
I believe so.
Yeah.
Like he was a good Batman. He was besides uh, the guy now. What was his name? Holy crap!
Christian Bale.
Yes. Besides him, like I think Keaton was my favorite Batman. Uh,
Yeah. If for no other reason, at how surprised I was that he did as well as he did. I mean,
yeah.
that elevates it more for me because I agree with you. I was so surprised because I was like, "Ooh, Michael Keaton, Mr. Mom, is playing
Yeah.
Batman," and I couldn't get it. And I remember that was like the early days of the internet. That was 1989. I looked it up, and this is like AOL
Yep.
forums, and
Dial up.
yeah, on my dial-up,
Get in
and
your chat room and dial up.
everybody is getting all up in arms about Michael Keaton being there. It's about as bad as the fact that when they announced what's his face playing Batman in the new movie.
Oh, Ben Affleck.
Ben Affleck. Yeah, I
Yeah.
wanted to say Matt Damon, and I knew that wasn't right, but I couldn't pull Ben.
Yeah.
So it's similar to that. I mean, with the outcry. But anyway,
Yeah.
yes, I agree that I
Yeah.
thought he was
Yeah. The whole thing that makes it my favorite movie is I like the story. I'm big on story and
Mhm.
imagery,
Yeah,
and
that was all good.
and some of my favorite parts in there are when they have the real big shootout in the warehouse, um, and he gets up to the guy, and the guy's name, they keep calling him Skank, and he's
Yeah.
like Skank, and he's like Skank dead, Skank over there, or whatever.
Right. Yeah.
You know, like he's like, don't kill me, and that the movie had a lot of bands that I was actually into, so they had a good soundtrack for it. The band that's playing during that big fight scene was one of my favorite bands, like when that came out, and their name is My Life with a Thrill Kill Cult, and so they were in it, so that was a plus for me. I did like the exchange between Brandon Lee and Ernie Hudson when they're in the when he's in his house, and when you said he's smoking, and he's like, these things will kill you, and the
Right.
joke was there that, well, he's already dead,
Right.
and he's smoking. But I mean, I like the whole thing with Sarah being the skater chick, and I don't know. There was a lot of light in it. How true it was to the comic, I do not remember. But
Yeah, I never read the comic either, but I did. All the things that you just said, I did like. Overall, I really liked the film. I got it because I kept thinking because you had said you thought they were going to do a remake of this, right?
yeah, they're supposed
Or
to do
you had
one.
read,
Yeah,
and I kept thinking like I would actually like to see a remake of this. But I would like to see. Obviously, Brandon Lee's not coming back to do it.
yeah,
And that no disrespect. But let's see someone else play that, and really the same story, but with today's special effects and somebody other than Ernie Hudson.
yeah. Well,
That
what
was my
I've
biggest
seen,
thing. Keep all
yeah,
the same of the characters, and I think pretty much the same villain. Although I would like a different look for the main
Yes.
villain. That hair
Yeah.
with
Little
his
much.
yeah.
Uh,
The female, she was all right. I mean, I thought she was, fit. And then the black guy that was the henchman for the long haired guy, he
yeah.
was cool looking too.
Yeah.
But
He
he
was a good.
also smoked and does not smoke.
Yeah. Yeah. He was a good comic style henchman.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, and the thing that bothers me about them doing a remake is I believe I saw who some of the people they were casting. One of the people they're casting is Norman Reedus from Boondock Saints to Walking Dead. Um, and I I love the guy in movies and TV shows to death, but if he was playing Brandon Lee's part, I'd be like, okay, I'm in. And if I was sure about the director who was remaking this, I'd probably be in more. If it was somebody like Robert Rodriguez who did Sin City, and Sin City looked amazing, because this is like pre-Sin City, so
Hmm.
Sin City was 2000 whatever. So I mean, you have a big gap of, like you said, special effects that happened in that time to make things look different, and I think the imagery would be good with someone good behind the helm of it. To me, right now, it just kind of reads as like an independent remake, which
Yeah.
is what bothers me.
It
So
did.
if it sees the light of day,
Yeah, well, yeah, we'll see what happens, I guess. They're speaking of Sin City, that their sequel comes out this year.
yes, I cannot wait. Robert Rodriguez does amazing work, and he's one of my favorites.
Believe it or
When
not,
they,
I've never seen Sin City.
yeah, I think we talked about this before. You need to see that.
Yeah, I
Um,
do.
Even well, you're not big into zombies, but I don't know if you ever saw when he did the Grindhouse with Quentin Tarantino.
No, I don't
Um,
like zombies.
yeah, he did one called Planet Terror, and it was zombie based, and it was actually really good, and it was like a throw, like the Grindhouse movies were that old '70s style, and it was a throwback to that old '70s look. Like things were grainy, things were like things that should be scary were actually made to be funny. Um, you know, uh, so I just like him as a director. I think he does a good job. My kids like the Spy Kids movies when they're on TV, and he
Hmm.
did those too. So I mean,
Yeah, I thought those were actually kind of
yeah,
clever.
yeah, and he did the Desperado and all that. So I mean, body of work. I if I wanted to hand the helm to someone, I'd be like, have Robert Rodriguez make The Crow because he did Sin City and it looks really good, and I trust his work. As far as whoever Joe Schmo is that's supposed to do it, I don't know about that, but it's good.
I did see on IMDb there have been like 5 other Crow movies.
Yes, one actually, the third one I believe, the second one was kind of it was okay. It was
None of
really
them,
hyped up.
none of them had good reviews on
No,
on IMDb.
right and wrong.
However,
Yeah,
they do their ratings on there.
yeah. Number two, since this one became like a cult classic, that it, the first one was like a cult classic. The second one was made to be a big studio picture. It had Iggy Pop in it. They had this
Right.
huge soundtrack of like everybody that was big at the time, and it just really didn't. The guy that played the Crow in that one just wasn't as likable, I guess. I don't know. Brandon Lee just had like a likable, boyish quality to him. I think in the first one. The third
Yeah.
one actually,
Go ahead.
and the third one actually had the kid from Terminator. Um, I can't recall his name.
No,
The kid who played, the kid who played the kid in Terminator.
I don't know.
Yeah, but he was the third Crow, and that one was that was almost like independent. Like I stumbled across it, like 2 years after it came out. I had no idea it had even come out.
And then they had a
So
TV series. I didn't even know that either.
no, I don't even know if that's saw the light of day.
No, it did.
Not did it?
Yeah. The guy, I don't know if you ever watched Iron Chef America, or have
Mm-hmm.
you ever seen that? The
Yes.
guy who plays the chairman who opens up the show, he was the Crow in the TV series. Huh? Did I blow your
Hmm.
mind? I blew
Wait,
your mind with
maybe
that.
I'm not thinking of the right thing. Iron Chef America, isn't that Alton Brown?
No, 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 no. well, yeah, he's the host. No, the guy that does the he starts off he announces what the mystery food is or whatever it's called, and then he starts the competition with his backflip, and then you know. Have you
Oh,
ever
okay.
seen
Oh yeah, yeah,
Iron
yeah, yeah,
Chef?
yeah. Yeah, okay. I do know who you mean.
Yeah. So he plays the crow in the TV series, I guess.
That's kind of effing weird.
Yeah, I didn't even know he was an actor, 'cause, they play him like he's supposed to be the
Stereotypical Chinese man
yeah,
or
like
Japanese
yeah,
guy.
he actually owns the arena. I actually didn't realize that was a character.
Yeah,
I
me
guess
either,
now I
honestly.
think I'm thinking like, yeah, you know what? It's probably pretty stupid of I
Yeah.
guess now both of us, but I watched the original Iron Chef that was originally done in I guess Japan or wherever,
Yeah.
and that one I thought the guy built Kitchen Stadium or whatever it's called. How did we get off on this?
Because he played the crow in the TV series.
Oh yeah. Like,
Oh man.
why are we talking about Iron Chef again?
Because this is about comic. They're making a new Iron Chef comic, and we wanted to make sure that
What?
we touched on it. Um,
Iron Chef comic.
but yeah, well, whatever. Um, wow. Well, you know, it'll be interesting to see. I don't know. If it gets done, I just hope it's done well.
Yeah.
Just the guy who's the main actor. I mean, if you're gonna have Norman Reedus in the movie, just make him the goddamn Crow because he's the guy that everybody's gonna pay to go see the movie for anyway.
I
Um,
don't know who Norman Reed. Now who I well, see, I don't watch
um,
Walking Dead, so
yeah,
is
he's Daryl on The Walking Dead. He plays like this backwoods kind of hillbilly. And he's the guy that if they kill off on The Walking Dead, everybody is gonna riot pretty much. If you Google Daryl Dixon,
hmm
he'll come up. His name is Norman Reedus. He was in, I think he got his start in, like when he first became big. He was in Boondock Saints, which was another cult classic kind of movie. And he was one of the brothers in that, and they made a sequel to that too recently. Um, I don't know. It's just something about the dude. I just like him. But if I don't know, he's who people are going to go pay to see because probably the people that are going to go see The Crow are going to know either of the old one or they're going to be like, oh, hey, Norman Reedus he's in The Walking Dead. I'm going to go see him. Um, the other name attached to it, I don't even remember who he was. I think I looked at his IMDb and it wasn't anything spectacular to me to be like, oh yeah, you deserve to be Brandon Lee's character if you're totally remaking the first one. Um, but
I
yeah, enough of
saw.
that tangent.
Yeah.
I also saw we have, um, we have our well. Let's see. Should I take you up or should I bring you down first?
Oh, doesn't matter.
Okay.
Roll the
I,
dice.
I'm gonna. I think I'm gonna make it a little bit of an up and down. I
Okay.
saw that Spider-Man is Amazing Spider-Man #1 is coming this April, and Peter Parker is back in the Spider-Man suit. Um, so I'm kind of excited.
Okay, so that's great because one of the things I have been reading, I was curious about. Spider-Man was one of my all-time, like he was my favorite when I was growing up. I have a ton of Spider-Man comics,
Hmm.
and and when I heard about the whole Doctor Octopus, I think we've maybe even talked about this. I was just like, I had
Yeah, briefly.
no interest in it at all. I just thought, man, they are reaching for it, and that was one of the comics I really wasn't a character. I wasn't going to go back to when I started to go back and get back into reading comics again.
Hmm.
However, I did find a couple of single issues on Marvel.com through the iPad, which we'll need to talk about because it's dangerous. But I found a couple issues there that I wanted to read.
Which we do need to
Um,
talk about. Since we're on Spider-Man, we will hit on it.
okay. Yeah. So, are you there?
Yep, I'm here.
Okay, there was some static. Um, so anyway, I started reading a couple issues of Spider-Man. Just really, basically, I wanted to find out about. They kind of totally, what's the word I'm looking for? Retroed his whole, where everybody found out who he was, and then he like, there was a storyline I never read where he gave up his marriage with Mary Jane to Mephisto, and their marriage all of a sudden never was. So he was single this entire time, and that was one of the reboots they did. And I was just, I never, I kind of liked the idea because I never thought he should have got married anyway, but I never read any of that story. Well, they did kind of a retcon of that, and changed it a bit and rewrote that one, and it's called now One Moment in Time instead of, I think the original one was called One Fine Day or One Bright Day. Yeah, I feel terrible. I don't know the name of this, but anyway. So I started reading those, and then I read the one where Dr. Octopus basically takes over Peter Parker's mind, or the story behind that. And now that I've read that, I'm like, I kind of want to read the rest of this. I want to read the Superior Spider-Man series, which is like 25 issues or whatever, because I actually kind of started thinking, well, this might be kind of cool the way they're going about this story.
And that's the one with Doc Ock as Spider-Man?
Yeah, he has taken over Peter Parker's mind, and no, I only read the first issue of this whole thing, and apparently Peter Parker is still there, kind of influencing Doc. So he's not purely evil. He's inhabited Peter Parker. He has all of his memories and all of that, so he knows about, with great power comes great responsibility. So there's this, I guess there's going to be, I haven't read it, or there already has been, this pull between the good of Peter Parker and the evil of Dr. Octopus, which it sounded really cool. And eventually, apparently, the Peter Parker mind is supposed to just die off altogether. So how he comes back, you knew he was going to come back. But how, I'm kind of interested in knowing.
Okay, because I was confused a little bit, because when I read about this, what I read was Doc Ock was Spider-Man now.
Basically is.
Yeah, but I didn't know that he had taken over his mind. I don't know if that changes, but because when I read this, it said something about they're going to try to phase him out with Peter Parker, possibly, and that both of them will show up in the first couple issues until Peter Parker is back in full swing.
Yeah. They had to do it. The Amazing Spider-Man 2 comes out this year, and Peter Parker has to be back in that costume in the comics by the time that comes out.
Yeah.
Yeah. I read that, but it also makes sense that a lot of what is happening in the comics, there is an impact on what is happening in the movies, both ways. Well, actually, I think the movies are probably impacting the comics more, but he was going to come back. So that's the thing. So this story with Dr. Octopus taking over Peter Parker's mind and thus Spider-Man is really, it's a 25 issue story, and that makes it even more appealing to me now because I'm like, oh, I can read this in a whole chunk and really get into it, which, again, is the beauty of reading these things on an iPad as opposed to walking down to the local comic book shop and pulling a single issue and trying to read it that way, which is how I used to do it.
So you were saying that being on the iPad is dangerous.
Yes.
And I'm going to guess here the reason why. You tell me if I'm right. I was having a conversation a couple weeks ago at it was like a holiday party with someone who would be great for us to have on talk to because he and you would just click with comics completely. But we were talking, and he was saying his favorite was Spider-Man. Since there are so many offshoots of Spider-Man, though, he said, you buy one issue and it's like $3 or whatever, $3.50, whatever they might be. But then you have, if you want to keep up to date on your favorite hero, which let's say it's Spider-Man, and there's 4 or 5 different Spider-Mans, then and he said they were issuing them like bi-monthly, also at points.
Hmm.
So he's like, you're just digging and all this money for comics because you're trying to keep up with all the different worlds. I know we're talking about that with Avengers, but is that
Yeah.
what you're saying with the iPad? It's easy to just click, click, click.
Yeah, it's too easy, you know. So I've started reading everything off the iPad as opposed to buying trade paperbacks, and it's too convenient to order these things. So if you don't have some self control over, well, I have to read the next issue, or man, I really want to read this whole storyline, because and that's how you have to think. If you're not if you're getting caught up like I am, so I started thinking about this. I probably haven't bought a single issue comic in a good 10 to 15 years.
Hmm.
But I have kind of, even over the last 10 or 15 years, I have bought trade paperbacks. So I've somewhat kind of kept in touch with some of this. But I really stopped reading altogether right around, don't know what you, if you're familiar, there was Avengers Disassembled, and that's when the current line of Avengers disband, and then basically a month later they were now the new Avengers, and so they basically rebooted the Avengers franchise. But I stopped reading there. I was getting tired, and that was before the Civil War and all that. But I got kind of caught up with all that, so I started reading the Avengers, and I have to read them in block, the collected issues. So that's one thing, and you were talking about that earlier. It is cheaper to wait for them to issue out the 6-issue run as a collected trade paperback,
Hmm.
quote unquote, on the iPad, because it usually is a lot cheaper than buying the issues individually. So so I've been reading the Avengers. So the Avengers, if I want to get caught up on the Avengers now, and this is from when they started the whole Marvel Now, which is their reboot. But here's the difference, and I'm going off topic a little bit here, but here's the difference between Marvel Now and DC's, what, the New 52 is what they're called now.
Yes.
So with Marvel, it was merely just a renumbering scheme more than anything else. Marvel still has all of its continuity intact, which I thought it didn't. I thought it had done a real reboot, and it was like a whole new thing. But even when they refresh their teams and the origins, they still maintain their history. They never say, like something cosmic happened and reset everything. They always, which each story that does change the universe, they tie it back somehow. I didn't realize the New 52 at DC was a complete reboot. Like nothing happened prior to them starting this, and so any continuity they had is gone. I have no interest in getting caught up in the DC universe because it's not the same characters that I knew or read about. They're all different. I mean, Wally West is not even in the New 52 yet.
Yeah.
He's the Flash.
Yeah. It was like I said, we talked about this before. It's nice for someone like me who wasn't heavily into comics to jump in there, because if I were to jump in now and go Marvel, I want to start with the very beginning of Spider-Man. I have
That's a lot.
how many years to catch up on. So I mean, it's nice for someone who couldn't do all the backlogging, but wanted to start fresh, which doesn't happen a lot. But yeah, from what I've read of it, which I said were mostly the female characters because I was getting them for the girls.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yeah, it starts off brand new. Like one of the main ones we read was Supergirl, and it's like she crashes into Earth and starts, and then Superman shows up by the end of the first comic, and I don't know what, I forget all the story that happens there of the introductions and all that, but it's like it's starting from scratch.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I can't, and so and that's fine, and I shouldn't. I don't mean to sound negative on it. For me, I'm not going to go back. I won't go and read any of that, probably that new stuff. I don't think, unless I just get bored and I'll pick maybe one character to kind of. I've always liked the Flash and I've always liked the Green Lantern, so maybe I'll look at that and see what see if that's any good.
Yeah.
Or if there's a a pretty decent Batman graphic novel or set story arc, I might pick that up because I like Batman the character. I never read it monthly. Whenever I did read comics, I did Superman, but I never did Batman. But I always liked the miniseries and the Killing Joke and Hush and some of those where they're a definitive story arc. So
yeah.
But again, I doubt it. So I've just been picking up on the Avengers, which has always been my thing. And you talk about trying to keep, like the guy was talking about, trying to keep up with Spider-Man. Well, it is true with the Avengers too, because they have the Avengers, which they've restarted numbering again, and it's the classic Avengers, Captain America leading with Iron Man and Thor, and actually they've gone really big. They've got a lot of Avengers, a lot of members in the Avengers now. And then they have the new Avengers, which are the Illuminati, which is Reed Richards, Iron Man, Doctor Strange, Submariner or Mariner. We'll have to figure out what we're going to say on that one.
I say Mariner.
Mariner? Okay. Black Panther and the Beast. So you familiar with Illuminati?
Yes, we're gonna get into that because we were talking about this this past week, I believe, a little bit. So I was doing a lot of research on it, going back and talking about all these different teams. We were kind of back and forth on this a little bit, but yeah, I'm familiar with them.
Okay, so they're basically taking over the new Avengers, which I actually kind of like because it's not really another team of Avengers. These are we're controlling what's going on on the Earth.
Now you've read
behind the scenes. I have read that. So there was 3 collected issues or a series of the Avengers. I'm sorry, there's 4. I just got the last one. So like I said, it's dangerous. And then the new Avengers has 2 collected, but I only have 1. And then there is the Uncanny Avengers, which is the blend of basically Avengers and X-Men.
X-Men, yeah.
Which is, and again, all 3 of these are really good.
So having the one with Beast, is it a Beast that you like again?
Well, they have recently done another kind of semi-mutation of him again, and it looks like, and I don't know if this is for a fact, but he is going back toward being more like the classic Beast, and not the whole Beauty and the Beast lion look. He's going back to more of it, the Beast I liked. But I don't know that. I mean, I've only seen him once since he had a reform, which is, they have a thing going on with the X-Men where they have brought the original team from like the 60s into the future, and they are the all-new X-Men. And the Beast was in that, and I read the first arc of that, and it was actually pretty good. And that's when the Beast got his latest, I don't know, evolution or whatever they want to call it. And he looked more like he did back in the Avengers. So I was happy to see that. So, but it's expensive. Yes, I got caught up, and then I wanted to read the latest Avengers collection, and they're really going out there because even though these are 4 trade paperbacks, it's all one big story. Mm-hmm. They're going big with the Avengers now. I mean, scales they've never really done before, and so the next one's about Infinity, and this is their Marvel's, I guess, maybe the last big crossover event that they were having. And so it spans not only the Avengers, but it has its own Infinity limited series, 6 issues. It goes into New Avengers. It goes into X-Men, I think, as well. And I wanted to say there was something else it went into. And it's expensive.
Yeah.
These trade paperbacks, because these collected editions that just came out, it's like $20 for these 6 or 7 issues or whatever they've got. And I don't know that it's the same, but I think each individual issue was like $4.99 or something like that. So
See, what I like is since I'm so far behind on history as far as this stuff, it's so great that when all our conversations are on air all the time. So when we're talking off air, and you're actually telling me something, and I'll go look it up. Like, I actually learn something because it's, all this stuff, and you were in it for quite a long time, and like we all know, I'm like random guy.
Mm-hmm.
So it's so good to like understand some stuff that I probably didn't understand before.
Well,
And Avengers. I mean, we're not gonna get on you with your Avengers, but I mean, there's how many altogether? There's three.
3 what books?
Well, there's 3 different Avengers going on now, or there's
There's 3 different books of the Avengers, but it's all basically the same team, I guess. I mean, so the core Avengers is kind of revolves around Captain America, Iron Man, Thor, Hyperion, who is Marvel's answer to Superman, and then Hawkeye. I just saw there was one of these things that had, but Captain. Oh, here we go. Captain Marvel, who used to be Miss Marvel, and Spider-Woman, Spider-Man, and that's Superior Spider-Man, at least when I was reading some of that. So it was the Doc Ock Spider-Man.
Mm-hmm.
The Hulk. I mean, like, I can't even read them. I can't remember all of them. It's a big team, and that the one of the points of this storyline that I'm reading now was that they needed to get bigger, and they've got Captain Universe on their team. Who Captain Universe is like this? I don't know if you're familiar with it, but it's this force of the universe that inhabits different people and gives them cosmic powers. Spider-Man got the Captain Universe in one of his story arcs back in maybe the early 2000s or something like that. And she's on the team, or it is on the team. So they've got huge power on the team now that they've never had before. Usually Thor is the most powerful on the team at any point, any one time. And now they've got all these guys that are just like crazy powerful, and yet they still have Black Widow, Hawkeye, the lower or non-powered people. So it's really great. I mean, I'm enjoying the ride, but the problem is that if I want to keep up with all this stuff, it's expensive. Yeah, and I had problems back in when I was younger, and it didn't matter if I was paying my rent. Comics came first, man. I mean, I cannot tell you how many times. I remember one time I was trying to pull out of the comic book store, and my car broke down, and I had to go get it. It had to be towed to go get fixed, and I had probably just spent.
You walked in and bought more comics, didn't you?
No. I had just bought comics. I had to take them back and see if they'd give me my money back, and I knew I was going to have to pay for the repairs. I mean, and that's just and I would. It was the comic book store that pulled all my comics, every week for me, and I don't know how long it had been since I had been, but I had a stack of them. So you got to be careful. You got to be careful. There's so much you can read, and you can really put yourself in debt. Do you hear me?
Yeah, you're getting a little muffly, but I do.
Well, do you hear me now? Is it better? Because
Yes.
I heard a bunch of static for a while there.
Yeah, you're getting a little muffly, but you're all good. See, this is the thing I love. I love that you're like main comic guy, because I'm totally random guy, and we were talking about, which I totally want to get still. I have not yet done so. That comic I was telling you about from Red Circle Comics by Dean Haspel and Mark Ward, The Fox.
Oh, yes.
Which I saw a preview of part of one of them, and it really looks really weird. Yeah, and that's why I don't know. Like I say, I'm random guy because I don't know who's picking this up. The fact that it's Archie Comics, a lot of people, I guess, have breezed by it because it's associated with Archie Comics. But
Yeah.
but yeah, it's like a weird. So far, it's looking like it's going to be some kind of weird diving into the rabbit hole, Alice in Wonderland, like just craziness. Um, like I think one panel I saw, he's holding a head and pulls off his mask, and it's him. Um,
Oh yeah, you said that to me too.
yeah. So yeah.
Yeah,
So
and it has that kind of cool
you
retro-y yet modern
look to it.
artwork to it. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was the
Yeah.
Aldred guy that Steve Aldred. He had that look that I think I sent you. The guy who does Madman, and he's
Yes.
currently drawing. I think he's currently drawing. If this might be another segue, the FF, which its leader is Scott Lang, Ant-Man,
Oh.
in the very very
Yeah.
current comic.
Well, we're gonna. I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna throw a curveball here.
Go ahead,
Since we're gonna have another podcast coming up,
curve it.
and we're gonna curve it. I think I'm gonna throw all the movies and all that good stuff into that podcast.
All right.
Because this time it's a new year, everybody. We're trying to do a couple new things. We're gonna try to keep it around an hour when we do these. So if we go an hour and a half, but we're gonna try not to do the 2 hour huge thing. So we bored everybody to death.
Right.
But since we had our big rant on comics already, now I'm gonna bring it down. I'm gonna get
Down. All right.
bring it down and make it real.
All right.
So we lost a couple people over the holidays, and I know you had one that I saw the other day, and I do not remember who it was. I believe it was someone from the Partridge Family Show.
Yeah, Mr. Kincaid, the manager of the Partridge Family.
Okay.
And I probably should be respectful and actually get his actual name. So you go ahead and talk.
Yeah. I was not a big Partridge Family guy, but amongst the other names we had James Avery, who was Uncle Phil, most notably on The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
Yep.
He's no longer. Bo Diddley, who is a musician that pretty much pioneered rock and roll in a way, with some of his early work. And we also lost Phil Everly of the Everly Brothers. So, I mean, we had they were racking up.
Yeah, Dave Madden was Mr. Kincaid.
There you go.
So,
to bring it down, now I'm going to bring it up for myself, because coming January 20th at 7:30 on Cartoon Network, I'm guessing. Yes, I believe it's Cartoon Network. And do not judge me. Do not judge me. Okay. I was a Powerpuff Girls fan. We have a new Powerpuff Girls special coming out.
I love the Powerpuff Girls.
Me too. And so there's a new special coming out on January 20th at 7:30, and I just need to mention it so people see it, or if they listen to it later, that they go see it, because I was completely in the dark that this was even happening.
I didn't know there was one happening, so it is news to me as well.
So what it will be, who will be in it, I have no idea. I'm guessing it's some sort of movie adaptation, and it's not going to be the start of a series again. It's just a special, as far as I've heard. But I am super psyched about it. Mojo Jojo can make a appearance, please, which I think he has to. But some of the
Wait,
so
you forgot to mention the deaths. The professor from Gilligan's Island, Russell Johnson.
Oh, did he pass too? I did not even see him.
Oh, yes, he died the same day that Mr. Kincaid died.
Oh, well, that would be,
Professor, man.
Yeah. I mean, he couldn't get him off that island, but, I mean, his credentials had to hold up.
He's the biggest celebrity dead so far. Maybe not. Maybe the Everly brother is maybe bigger.
All right, James Avery and Uncle Phil, man, Fresh Prince.
I'm putting the professor over Uncle Phil. Sorry, I like the Fresh Prince too, but I'm sorry. I
See,
gotta
that's
put the
the 80s kid.
the 80 kid versus the 70s kid. Yeah,
Yeah,
you're right.
that's the difference there. So also we got what else has been going on? We got November, Better Call Saul for Breaking Bad fans.
Yay!
Uh, we got that coming in November, which I am completely psyched for.
Yeah, but you see, what's worse though is I will probably do the same thing there that I do with these comics and wait for the first
First season.
season to collect and come out on Netflix instead of I can't watch shows like that and Breaking Bad on my cable because I don't have AMC in HD. I don't. I just have like the base HD package because I really would rather not have cable at all, and I would just do everything through Netflix or Hulu or
Yes.
Amazon if I could do that. But in order to get the internet, I have to have a basic cable package.
Yeah.
So I do TiVo things that I'm like I don't watch anything live anymore. Um, but my AMC is not in HD, and I don't want to watch that show in just regular, with the
Well,
sides cut off. So I would end up paying for it on Amazon or whatever it happens to happen. So I'm gonna have to wait.
yeah. I see. We're kind of in the same boat, which is a also, it's nice. In our household, we do not have cable at all. We have a big ass TV that runs on rabbit ears, so the only thing that we watch is network television.
Wow.
Um, and anything else that we watch, um, we buy, and then we'll stream later on, and HDMI it through the big TV anyway. So
Right.
so what's nice about that is like we did that with Breaking Bad. So what I would imagine would happen, something like Better Call Saul. Check out the first episode the next day or a couple days after it airs, and if it catches me to where I need to watch the next episode, then I'll probably watch them as they go, because I'll just buy them as they go. But if it's something where I'm like, yeah, I can probably hold off and watch it for the season, then I'll wait till the end, buy the season, and eat it up as consume it as quick as possible. Um, that's kind of what we did with Walking Dead, which I have gotten back into. I watched the first season. I loved it. The second season, this is something I love about Walking Dead. They don't care about killing off characters.
Right.
So there were some characters in the second season, and I kind of felt it drag, and I kind of fell out of it by the end of second season, where I was like, eh. And I didn't watch the third season until recently. Um, so and now we're at the middle half. Well, starting February, we're coming back into the second half of the fourth season. But so when the second season ended, I really felt indifferent about it. I was like, if I watched it or not, I don't care. I can read the books. They're completely different anyway, as far as the stories go. They hold some similarities, but they really trail off from each other. And I understand that for TV, you would have to do that. But so we started watching the third season. We watched the third season in about a week, um, and I was completely hooked again. So now we're, so now I got to catch up on the first half of the fourth season, which I'm almost at like Breaking Bad territory where I'm like biting my nails just waiting. Like I'm like, oh my god, what's gonna happen? Like because it got so good and it got so far away from having to worry about zombies as much, and just
Hmm.
you have like you're in the situation and you have to deal with people. Like now the show is like people dealing with people, and it's like really messed up.
What season? 4?
Season 3 got really good. Season 4, I imagine, is going to be amazing. And I already,
Has
I
has that
made the,
started? Season 4?
season
I
4,
don't.
the first half has started. The second
Okay.
half starts, I believe it's February 28th or
Okay.
somewhere in there.
Gotcha.
Um,
Don't watch,
the
so I
uh,
don't know.
yeah, uh, the third season like really brought me back into it, and as long as they keep on, like, I don't know, it was just completely different. The first season was slow, and it made sense because you're learning the characters, you're learning what's going on, blah blah blah. It's the beginning point. Second season was like where we've been with Shield. You know, it's got to pick up. It's got like there's some people here I hate. They need to go. Just can you kill this guy off by now? And third season came along and it was just like go 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 go. And I was like, oh my god, I can't wait to watch the next episode. Like I would have sat there in one day and watched all the episodes. So now I'm waiting on the first half of the fourth season, and I'm really, you know, like I said, I'm just like chomping at the nail, just waiting for it to watch them because I'm really excited about it. And
I doubt I will ever watch it. I don't know. I might watch it someday down the future, but I'm sorry. I hear zombie and I'm out. I hear it's great. Big respect for it. I will probably not watch it because I'm not interested in zombies.
Yeah,
Like zero.
Yeah, and I'm completely interested only because I was a huge horror fan for the longest time. So, I mean, when it came out, I was like, okay, I'm gonna give it a shot. And then I think I watched as soon as I watched the first couple episodes, then by then they were already on like volume 16 or between 16 and 20, I think, in the actual book, you know, the trade paperbacks. So I started picking up some of them, and as I'm reading them, I'm like, oh, well, this is totally different than this. So like, I'm really getting two stories here because I'm watching a TV show, and they're both complete opposites. Like some of the characters are the same, but you know, a lot of stuff doesn't happen that happens in the book only because in the book you can be a lot more graphic than you can on TV. As far as like how people get killed and how things work. But the thing that I liked is the first two seasons were like, yeah, there was that personal element of people dealing with people, but then the big thing was the zombies. And while the zombies were great, I was like, well, they don't walk fast, they're not anything, like you kind of have to get caught by them and be an idiot and be slow or hurt or whatever. And then in the third season, it has more to do with like there's a villain and he's a human, and he runs this town. His name is the governor, and he runs this town. And now they're at war with this other town, while there's still zombies going on. But like the zombies are almost like an afterthought now. So you know it's gotten really good. It's really neat to actually get into, and I don't know if you probably watch it. It'll probably be something that if you were to watch it, zombies or not, you would probably watch occasionally, but once you got to a certain point in it, where, like I said, probably season 3, it would be something where you're like, okay, yeah, this is actually good. First 2 seasons, you would probably take or leave.
Yeah, and I wouldn't want to start on the third season because I would probably be lost, and I don't think my nature would allow me to do that. I would have a hard time. I couldn't do that. So
yeah.
So anyway, but that's all right. I mean, you know, different strokes for different folks. It's not something that's ever in comics, movies, TV. I just have never been a fan of the zombie, and if it's a part of it, even if it becomes not that big of a part of it, I don't know. I'm just kind of out.
Yeah.
I don't know why I have such this hard line against it, but it's just there, man. I can't.
I guess you've never seen the Rage Monkeys in 28 Days Later either.
Nope.
You're killing so many people right now, Kevin.
Yeah, I never.
And I thought I brought people down with how many people died over the holiday.
See, we can always go down lower. That's the lesson we have learned right now.
But also we had CES over the holiday. The big tech news out of CES, we had some things from PlayStation Now.
I would love to go to the CES. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I would love to go to the CES. What is that?
That's all electronics, pretty much. Electronics, gaming. Not so, it's not so heavily on gaming, but
no, it's everything. You know, I knew it was. When I said what is that, it was the static was hitting me. Sorry.
Oh.
I would love to go to that show. Man,
yeah, I would too. I mean, they had so many cool things there.
It's not open to the public, though. Did you know that?
Yeah, you have to buy tickets or get press pass.
No, it's not. You have to be part of a corporation or something, part of the industry, to go to that. It's not something that you can buy tickets to.
So everybody needs to go and start a business that's electronic related, or media related, and you can
Open
get.
your own Radio Shack, then you can go.
Well, I mean, there's a guy I watch on YouTube who went. He probably makes himself a business because he does a lot of tech reviews and stuff like that.
Well, yeah,
Which
they'll let those guys in.
yeah,
Sure, they get
so
tickets, but I don't think like the general public.
yeah,
I don't think can go. But I would love to be able to go. And you're right, they have a lot of cool, amazing stuff.
yeah. So
Amazing.
so some of the cool stuff that I saw, there's only a few things that there was so much, and it's a lot to cover, and there's so many people that have covered it already. Some of the things that interest me that I saw, and things that have happened tech-wise lately. PlayStation Now was there, which is basically you can get PlayStation's whole back catalog on PlayStation Now on PS4. So any game that PlayStation has ever released,
Oh, really?
you can now get on. Well, I believe the beta starts in February,
And it'll
and
work on the PlayStation 4?
yes, on PlayStation 4. I don't know about 3. I know it, but they specifically announced it for the 4. That on 4 you can get any back catalog thing from Sony.
Oh, like
So
downloaded?
yeah,
Not
so
like you
you'll.
could play your own. If you had a copy on a disc, could you play that on it, or does it have to be downloaded?
I am not sure if there's a redeem quality. So I would imagine maybe if you have it, they'll probably work something in. But I think it's almost going to be like we were talking about Nintendo, where you can buy the modded games now on there. I forget what it's called, but I think it's going to be the same thing. You buy a subscription, whether it's like $15 or something, because the PlayStation Network is free anyway. So this is their way to probably generate some money instead of doing like a yearly subscription fee. If you want to have a whole catalog of back games, you pay $15 or whatever it may be for a subscription, and then you pay for whatever game you want, however much that may be. I'm pretty sure they're probably not going to be huge numbers. It's something that is kind of cool because as far as gaming goes, I've been more of a computer gamer. So I use Steam, where I can. Steam is their whole philosophy is no one gets exclusives. We shouldn't have exclusives. So Xbox or PlayStation, they have their certain games that the other system won't have, and that's why people have to buy both if they're interested in certain games.
Right.
And Steam is kind of like, no, yeah, we don't want to deal with that. Like, we just kind of want everybody to game, and that's it. So they have their Steam machines that are consoles that you hook up and you can download whatever games. They're also hooked into a thing called Humble Bundle, which is a really great product. It's pretty much a donation. You can get up. It's usually like 5 to 7 games for about, if you get it, you do whatever the minimum bid is, or you can bid more, and all the donation goes to charity. You can pick out from, I think it's like 4 or 5 different charities how you want your money to be split up. But you can get like 5 to 7 games usually for around $5 to $10. So, and they do things like the Batman, not the newest one, Batman Origin or whatever it was, but you can get Batman Arkham Asylum, Batman Arkham City, and then you get like a couple other games, and they had that one recently. It was, I think the highest bid that I saw, it was like $5. So you get all these games for a few dollars, and then you open them on your computer, and they're kind of you download them, but they all kind of sit in
Hard drive.
in a queue. So I thought that was really cool. I think it's really cool that you're gonna, a lot of us, we buy these systems and we hold on to them, and like I still have my original NES, and I still play it like once a year or so. But I mean, I can't take those cartridges and put them into anything and play them.
Right.
So I mean, that's part of the reason I do that. So I think it's really cool that they released their whole back catalog.
I think that's cool too. I like that because I don't. Well, the Xbox One does not do that, right?
Not
They're not offering as we know it.
Not yet. They have. Uh, See, Xbox is usually the one who they have a lot of things that get kinks in them. They were like the first one when the new systems came out to do some updates and stuff already because of communities not working how they should and some stuff with their dashboard. I have not seen anything from them yet indicating that they will do something like this. But I mean, it would be really cool. I know they do have an online store and you can buy like independent games and stuff like that. But as far as like
Yeah.
an actual back catalog, I don't know how. It's not a full back catalog if they do have games that you can buy.
Yeah. That
Um,
was one of the things that was disappointing to me when they announced both of those systems was that you could not play physically, like a cartridge or disc, anything prior to PlayStation 4 or the Xbox One. So you couldn't play PS3 games on them, which is probably still true with the discs. Maybe those discs aren't read, but if
well,
you can download it and use it that way, then you're probably fine. That's fine. That's
yeah,
good. I think it's good.
yeah, I didn't even get into it that much with PlayStation because I was always an Xbox guy, which now I would probably be a PlayStation guy. The only thing that attracts me to Xbox was Halo, but um, I have kind of made it known at one point or another that Halo has completely almost lost my interest as far as story goes. It's more something I want to play multiplayer, where I was always the person that would love to play campaign or co-op campaign on, and now it's like I just want to play multiplayer on it. But Bungie also has a new game coming out called Destiny, which is supposed to be out on. It's supposed to be out on Xbox first. It's supposed to be on PS4. It's supposed to, which I'm hoping they do because they did with the original Halo. There's a big online campaign for it to come to PC. Because as far as graphics go, uh, any of those consoles are great, but you can always upgrade a graphics card in a PC, and there's always something new coming out. So you always have the sharpest graphics on a PC, and that's what really attracts me to PC gaming over consoles. Even though things are really sharp on everything now.
Yeah. I don't like. I like. If I don't do a lot of gaming, but to me, I think there are console suited games, and that's with the controller. And I
Mhm.
know you can use a controller on a PC as well. But like the ones I like to play on the PC were the online games. I used to play. It's not even. I think it's been discontinued. Uh, City of Heroes, which is a one of the massively multiplayer role playing there's a acronym for it, and I can't even think what it is.
MMO, massive
Yeah,
multiplayer online.
but even like it's longer than that. But anyway, but yes, it's a massively multiplayer, blah blah blah. And I am playing games like that on the computer because on my PlayStation there's a DC version of City of Heroes, but with DC characters. But I didn't, and so I started playing it a little bit on my PlayStation, but I didn't like playing it on the console. That type of game, I'd rather do that on a PC. But if I'm doing a typical made for the console game, like I've been going through the Indiana Jones style series,
Uncharted.
Uncharted, yeah, on the PlayStation. That's fun. I don't think I would like to play that as much on the PC. So I kind of think the style of the game, for me, dictates where I want to play it.
Yeah, yeah. It's I don't know. I If I can use a controller, I will sometimes, even though I don't know. I had a number two when we had the technical difficulties. James and I were talking a lot about controllers and everything. And when Xbox 360 first came out, they had this nice big fat controller, and then a year later, they got this thinner, skinnier type of controller. It didn't feel the same, and I can't play on those controllers. So we were talking about the best controllers ever made, and PlayStations were always kind of they're all right. The PS3's is nice. The PS4 has some kind of new like toggle button or something in the middle, where the start button and everything is.
Hmm.
Um, and you know, so I mean, it's nice to be able to use it with your computer, but I don't know, gaming mice and keyboards, I don't know, it's just something to get used to. It all depends on what you're going to do, who you're playing with, what they do. Like I said, Steam is really unbeatable, especially when you get into the humble bundle prices of instead of me going out and paying still like $39 for the second Batman game. Like I said, I could have paid $5 and got 7 games. All that were really decent titles. Now they do humble bundles that are a bunch of stinker titles, or more more geared towards handheld phones, tablets, stuff like that. Those kind of like little games. But I mean, when they do the big games, they do the big game releases right. They had one Left 4 Dead, which is a zombie game that
Out.
is survival. Yeah, you're out. It's supposed to be like a survival game. It's supposed to be really good. Got a bunch of awards and everything. And I think it was Left 4 Dead 2 was on one of the humble bundles, and I wish I probably would have grabbed it because I believe it's still like $40 or at least 20 or something, and I would have got 5 or 6 other games with it that were decent quality games that I probably would end up playing too. But you know, so anyway, CES has come and gone. Bunch of phones, bunch of cars, bunch of tablets. Is it called Vodafone or Vodafone? Padphone. Padphone. There's a company that makes Padphone. And they're supposed to have a U.S. release, I believe, sometime this year, which is a phone and there's a tablet, and they plug into each other. So when you plug the phone into the tablet, it brings what would be on the phone onto the tablet. The weird thing, it's been in the UK, I believe, for...
Isn't that called iTunes?
Oh, no. This is like an actual phone and your actual tablet. So if you had your iPhone, you had your tablet, you would plug your iPhone into your iPad. And then your iPad would be whatever was on your phone. I guess without the phone, the tablet doesn't work. Is the catch. It's a weird thing, but I guess it has
that may be someone overthinking.
Yeah, I think it did pretty good. But I think it's supposed to be coming to the U.S. this year. I saw, so that'll be something kind of cool. A couple other things I did see was Google acquired Nest. I don't know what Nest is. Controlled thermostats, CO2.
You can get them at your nearest Lowe's.
Yes, yeah, and I'm really into electronic home anything. So
I am too. I think that would be kind of cool because it not only is it one of those that's completely electronic. You can probably control it through your iPhone, and it probably hooks up to your Wi-Fi. But it also is supposed to learn. So if you like it at a certain degree every night at 5 o'clock or whatever, it knows that and it will learn that as you continually set it. I don't know how long it takes for it to learn, but yeah, it will automatically adjust, which is kind of nice, and I wouldn't mind it. I can't remember how much it is, but interesting buy for Google for sure. I mean, it doesn't seem like it's a Wi-Fi thing. And I guess that's one of the reasons why Google wanted to get it. And I do think Google is a pretty innovative company. And when they make purchases, it's interesting.
I think the major end game of all this, and I don't know if you can do it on Nest prior, but I believe so. I believe the point of Nest was that you could be, this would be perfect for you. You're someone who travels. For your job sometimes. So if you were on your plane on the way home and you had turned off all your heat because you don't want to be running things while you're gone, and there's no reason to, that you could pick up your phone and turn it on, and it would send a signal to your house, and it would then turn on your heat, and when you got home, your house would be nice and warm.
That's true. Yeah, that's the deal. Somehow it does that. I don't know how it does that, but somehow it does that.
And there was a car that did that too a couple years ago, which was
hmm
freaking weird. But I
Well,
mean,
you're supposed to be able to control everything. I mean, you should be able to. They've got devices now where you can plug in your lights and
yep.
everything and all that, so you can control all that from your phone.
Yeah, yeah. Wemo, I think, is a company that makes lights and does it pretty well for a pretty decent price. There's also electronic locks for. One thing I did see, and I am really into, is it's a deadbolt lock. It works through Android and iPhone, I believe. I think Windows phone users are the people who get left behind on things like this
Right,
because they don't develop as much for that.
right.
Um, but it's a deadbolt lock, and what I thought was really cool about it was on a lot of these electronic deadbolts that you would put in. Um, Usually you can type in a code sometimes for like a one-time use. So if I was in my den or whatever, and my front door is on the other side of the house, and I'm too lazy to have you knock and me actually get up and come answer the door, I can actually just type in a code and tell you, hey, yeah, the code is 1587, and when you get here, just type that in, and then you can come in. And it would be like a one-time use code for that person, and then after that, you would have to reset it to. If you ever wanted to put in another one-time use code, you could do that for someone else, but it would just be like a one-time thing. So I thought things like that are really interesting to me because tech moves forward. Homes, everything in the home is becoming this whole tech world, and I am in heaven if I can have it all.
Yeah, but the only thing about that I
Your
don't
Wi-Fi
like,
goes down.
well, that or someone would. It seems to me that it's easier for someone to get in than not having it on there where it requires a key. And now, if someone wants to get in your house, they're going to get into your house.
Yes.
But if you open it up where it's just a matter of I've got some sort of fancy dancy scanner type thing, and I can figure out what your combination is, and chink chink chink, I'm in my house, in your house without doing anything. Uh, then I don't know. It just seems like if I was really worried about that, I'm not worried about it here where I live. But if I live somewhere like where maybe crime might be more of an issue, then I wouldn't feel
Tompkins.
as I wouldn't feel yeah I wouldn't feel as safe as having that type of a I don't know weakness to get into the house. And
Yeah.
again, maybe that's not that big of a deal, but I do like everything else about controlling your fireplace and like what would be good for me is because when I do travel
You
is
just want to be a fancy man.
I've got heating coils on my roof to handle ice damming right around the front of my house, and I got to manually turn those on. But if I'm traveling and suddenly there's a snowstorm, I'm kind of screwed.
Yeah.
So that would be nice to be able to turn that on remotely when I needed to.
You hear that, Google? Do you hear it? Do it.
They got it actually. I think there's an adapter you can get that fits in between the electrical outlet and the plug that you whatever you're plugging into, and then there's a little control, a Wi-Fi control thing you can get for your phone that will control that. So anything you could plug in, you could use that little device to control through your Wi-Fi and then ultimately through your phone, which I think is pretty cool too.
Cool.
Yeah.
Let's see here. One last thing that I did see tech-wise over the holiday, which I am hoping, I hope that this works the way it should and that this catches on, because I am someone who hates windshield wipers. I hate replacing them, mainly because I just do. I hate them in general. I love Rain-X because it beads all the crap off my
hmm
window. Um, but McLaren has a car that's coming out in 2015, so we're only a year out, and it's supposed to have no wipers whatsoever. Now, how that's supposed to work is that the engineer or owner of McLaren, the story behind it is he went to the army and he noticed that some of the fighter planes don't have wipers on them, and he asked how that is. Somehow they do some kind of vibration, high pitch sound thing, and it beads all the water away from the windshield of the plane.
Hmm.
Uh, so they're supposed to take that technology, put it in a car, and the car is not supposed to have windshield wipers. Now, if that happens and that catches on, I am not someone who would say, hey, yeah, in 3 years we're not going to have any wipers, but 7 to 10 years, I would hope that this would become something that is regular if the thing works good. I was really intrigued when I heard that. I really like McLarens as it is. I like the looks of them. Not that I can afford them, but I like the looks of them. And
Yeah, that'll be an expensive car feature for a little while
yeah,
if it does take off.
yeah, and then eventually it would become standard. And
Yeah,
like I said,
Power windows were an expensive car feature at one point in time. So yeah, you're right. Eventually, it would come down.
I'm not gonna. I don't know what you're talking about because I don't have power windows.
You don't have power windows.
I have a '98 Escort, and it's got no power windows whatsoever.
I wonder if they make a car today, a brand new car that has crank windows.
Yeah, they do. It's probably over in some other country that has just started making cars in the last 2 years.
All right, well, about in the States alone. Anything being sold here, there's probably something, right?
Yeah, '98 Escort. I just bought it last year.
No, something being made today, not what you're buying in the past.
Oh, you
not
mean
past technology. What about new today? Speaking of which, do you have satellite radio in your car?
I have a '98 Escort that does not have power windows.
All right, so I just bought a 2011 Ford Escape because I had a Jeep that was probably going to fall apart soon. Because it's still under manufacturer warranty. I have 3 months of Sirius. Is it Sirius or Cirrus? Sirius, right?
Sirius.
Satellite radio, and I like having it, and so it's kind of cool because it's like not only does all the different kind of music, but then there's comedy channels on there which I like to listen to, and then all the sports are on there. I like to listen to football games on the radio, but football season's almost over, so it's not that big of a deal. So I got something in the mail about like, well, here's how much it's going to cost after your free trial expires, and it's like $15 a month. Of course, you could pay it in advance for a year, and it's cheaper, and then you can even do like 3 years, and it's even cheaper. But I'm not going to do it because it's just not something I can put in my budget right now. But it intrigues me because I like having that type of option, and whatever, it's just the same thing with being able to stream stuff or get it on your iPad or whatever. It's interesting. Plus, they have the ability they have an app on your phone, so you could listen to everything that's on Sirius in your car on your phone too, which I think that makes it more intriguing. But honestly, anything that's on my phone now, music-wise, or the podcast I listen to or whatever, I can plug into this car, and I can listen to that.
Hey, I can do the same thing. You know how I do that? With one of those little tapes.
See, there you go.
Because I have a tape player in my car. You remember a cassette tape? Anybody? No?
What? What is that?
Okay.
Were those big round things that you used to put on a...
No, those were laser discs.
Oh, okay. So anyway, so I can listen to everything that I'm already paying for with my data subscription on my phone, right in my car. So there really isn't a need for me to have the satellite radio.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't mind if I had the money. I would do it. I would do it in a second.
Yeah, I knew someone that paid for it every year. And this was when it first came out. There was like XM and Sirius. I guess there's still XM, but Sirius, from my understanding, has the better stations.
Sirius bought XM. It's the same.
Okay, so it's all the same now.
Yeah.
And he had that, and he also had OnStar in his car. So, but I mean, his subscription for Sirius at the time was, I believe it was something close to $170 or something a year.
Month? Oh, a year.
A year.
Wow.
Because I believe it was higher. This is, like I said, this is when it first came out. And then he also had OnStar, and I don't know what OnStar costs, but I know it's, it can get pricey month to month. So, it was just I think he ended up dropping OnStar before he dropped his Sirius because he was like, I love it, but you know, whatever.
Yeah, I don't have the option for OnStar, but and we'll see what happens when mine expires at the end of March, I think. Um, I don't really listen to it that much, but I like that. I like having it there. I do like that. Um, and if my money, if I pay off some bills or whatever, and I've got extra money, then maybe I'll buy it at that point in time. I like having the option, but at the same time, it's like, man, I can just plug my phone in there, and really anything I wanted to listen to, I could listen to by getting it on my phone.
On your phone, yeah. That's pretty much where I am. I pretty much live on the thing.
Yeah.
If I want to listen to something, I'll take my earbuds, and even if I only have one of them in, I'll listen to it that way. I don't, it's mostly podcasts and stuff I listen to. If I listen to music, if I'm in a car, CDs, radio, I'll still listen to it once in a while. But I mean, it's really mostly just gone to the point where it's all dead to me if it's not on my phone.
Wouldn't you agree that the smartphone is the biggest technological innovation in your lifetime?
In
Your lifetime. And in my lifetime. I mean, yeah, I could sit there and say, so I can say, like, the fax machine came into life in my own time, or even a calculator. But I don't think any of those things had as huge of an impact as having that smartphone today is on my and I probably don't even, just like your brain, you only use what, 12% of your brain. I probably only use
maybe you know
30% or I don't know what of the capability on my phone, of things I could do to help me even be a better person or more organized or whatever. I mean, I've started taking to doing using voice notes just when something hits me. It's like, instead of writing it down or whatever, I'll do a recording and then I can just go back to it as long as I remember to go back to it.
Yes. Yeah, and the things that I was going to touch on this on the next one because we're going to do another one that's all movie. So I'm just going to finish up with some of this stuff real quick. But it was the thing that gets me is I believe you use Apple now, right?
Well, for iPad and iPhone, but
Okay.
laptop, it's still Windows.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I meant as far as your phone goes.
Yeah.
So I know you get some Google services. Things I use right now, which are really helpful. I use this app called AnyDo, which is like a scheduler for me, plus my Google Calendar. And when I want to do notes and stuff like you're saying, where I just think of something, Google has this thing called Keep. And it's nice because I can type a sentence and then just get out of it, and I don't have to save it or close it, and it just automatically saves for me. And I love that feature now. I don't have to save things anymore. I don't have to click save for something to save.
Right.
So your question was if it was the biggest technological advance. Yes, and just the way it's grown in the many years. I think what was it? Was it like 2000 or 2000 or no 2001? Was that the first iPhone? Maybe it was somewhere around there. Or,
I don't know.
No, it had to be after that. Maybe like 2 or 3.
I mean, even before that, they had the Blackberries and the Palm Trios and stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, but like since I think once the iPhone came, I'm gonna go since the iPhone came out because that was like the smartphone for the generation, I guess. Once that came out, and then all these other people started making the phones, and then I remember when Google first came out and they had their first phone, and the system was really bad at best, but it worked sometimes, and it was whatever. So, everybody was still like flocked on Apple, but now that everything is just like you can do so much on your phone compared to what you used to be able to do on your phone. And since when I started having smartphones, I've always had some sort of Android phone. I can go back and still see some of the things in my app store that were from my first phone that I ever had. Just things that were actually put on there originally, like already preloaded on the phone.
Right.
So I mean, it's just crazy to look at like some of the programs that used to be that probably don't exist if I wanted to download anymore, and just how far everything has come. Because I mean, you do everything from your phone anymore. You schedule, you
Hmm.
bank.
It's
People don't
everything.
really talk on it. Everybody does everything, but actually probably talk on their phone anymore.
Yeah, texting almost replaces making a phone call, which, again, I don't have a problem with. I actually prefer that because I can text and just send something out and not have to, you know, worry about the immediacy of interaction. I guess
Yes.
I do enough of that when I'm working, so to be able to carry on a conversation over the span of 3 or 4 hours, I'm okay with. I like that.
I am too, and that brings me actually to my final point for tonight is, um, you know, as far as being connected, we're all connected. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, anything that we're using, we're all connected here, and we use these things. Some of us on a daily basis, some of us kind of randomly. Um, but like, what's too connected for you
Mm.
personally? Um, because my I'll just go with mine. What's too connected for me is I don't need a notification for everything. So all my notifications for um, for Google, for Facebook, for Twitter, anything like that, I have everything shut off. So if I get a message on Facebook, it doesn't come up on my phone. When I actually click on Facebook to go into Facebook, that's when I'll see whatever's going on there. I don't live in what's happening on all those social networks. And I think that's what's too connected for me. I need to step back from that stuff and actually have semi interactions, even if it's texting. Like you said, like a
Mm.
4 hour conversation over text is fine, and I'm fine with that too. Now, my phone going off every 2 seconds because somebody's message or somebody liked something I did on Facebook or whatever. Like I don't care about that. Like, yeah, okay,
That's
you liked it, great.
yeah, and that's actually a good one. I don't know that I don't I have on my phone. If someone texts me, I have a sound for it. Um, Obviously, if the phone rings, I have a sound for it. Everything
Yeah.
else is just I'll get a little pop up whenever I get a text or whenever someone messages me on Facebook or whatever.
Mhm.
I'll get a pop up on it, but not a sound. Because that would annoy me too. I do think you're right. That's still being a little too connected, and I probably could turn off the push notifications, which is what that is. Where even that, and just because since I work at home, I'm connected all the time. I
Mhm.
pretty much have Facebook up all day long because I'm right there. I've got two monitors, so I can leave it up on one screen while I'm doing work on the other one, and I just leave it there. When something comes up that interests me, I'll click on it. But I have tried to for 2014 to say, let's put the phone down sometime.
Yep.
I like there. I've got games on it. I got the texting. I got checking all the social stuff. I got the email. But hey, if my daughters are over here, why don't I just put that phone down and not have to sit there and feel like I've got to be on it while they're here? Now, if they're watching TV and absorbed in something else,
That's
fine.
fine. Yeah.
Yeah. But I do think I think that consciously I probably got to back away from it. I probably also need to. I tend to overshare. I think a little bit on Facebook, and I'm thinking about backing off of that a little bit. Just not. I mean, because I put I do a lot of it because my family is across the country, so I want
Mhm.
them to see their my daughters. So, but um, but I don't know what too connected would be. I don't
Yeah.
know.
I just feel like when people almost can't have a conversation anymore
Right.
because you can't talk to someone without them looking at their phone,
Yeah, that's rude.
then yeah, then that's too connected to me. Or
Well, that's
every
that's
every,
that's a
every
poor social skill too. I mean,
yes, and every 2 seconds, if you have your phone in your pocket or whatever the deal is, and it's constantly going off, so you're constantly reaching in your pocket and
forget
constantly
it.
looking at it, then that's too connected for me. Also, like
I agree with
um,
that.
if like you said, like not so much putting it, my thing for 2014 was not so much putting the phone down, but I I always did art and I was always into photography. And the thing I always hated about photography was all the people who always did pose pictures. So
Yeah.
my thing was always pictures that live in the moment of what's going on. Not let's stand and pose and do this. Like let's
Oh yeah, I
actually
hate.
just catch
Yeah,
yeah,
right. I hate
let's
those.
catch the moment. And that's kind of I read this thing and I honestly this is a while ago, so I can't even credit whoever it was, but I thought it was a really smart interpretation of how life is now that people are so much on their phone and they're standing there taking pictures of their kids while they're playing instead of playing with their kids and
Hmm.
just put down the damn phone and not look at everything else and take a couple pictures of them with your phone or whatever because a lot of people do their pictures on their phone honestly. I know you have a nice ass camera and you do some good pictures um, when you have the girls and everything. So
Right.
that's a little different to me. But when people are just constantly on their phone, it's just like, oh yeah, I can take a picture with my phone, and they're not really living in the moment,
Right.
and they're eschewing their um, what the memory of that moment will actually be further down the road with all these pictures that they have. Because if you have documented of you had this big nice day and you remember it somehow, and then you have all these pictures and you're like, oh yeah, and the kid was crying, this was happening, oh yeah, and I broke this, so you always have a reminder of what was kind of crappy on the day instead of actually remembering the good things about the day. If you have too many pictures, so that's kind of been my thing for 2014 was to be connected, but not be overly connected, and to
Right.
actually live in the moments that are going on in real
Yeah.
life, not electronically.
Yeah. Create a memory of it, not a record of it.
Yeah.
And as it is, I'll take so many pictures on my phone, and not necessarily not living in the moment, but just just capture it. But I don't go back and look at them all. I mean, I've got 1,000 photos in my on my phone right now, and I'm like, I gotta go through these and delete them at some
Yeah.
point. And but that's 1,000 photos, and it probably just get worse and worse. I need to take a moment to probably do that.
Yeah. So, everybody try to live in the moment. We'll be back. We're going to be doing a full-on movie one. So until then, keep the streets safe. The 8-Bit Heroes. Later.
Later.